Hello, welcome back friends to another Think Out Loud video. If you're new here, pull up a chair and grab your coffee. This is where we laugh, we learn, and we shake our heads together at how
I got deported because I vote for Donald Trump. Now everybody's getting deported because they voted for Donald Trump.
Person after person left Miami's immigration court in tears Thursday.
And there's actually people sobbing on the other line, crying and scared for the family members.
Practically the same day he took office, he went against Venezuelans. It seemed personal.
How MAGA keeps turning life into one long FAFO story. And to my returning crew, you already know, it feels good to be back with the family. Sometimes when I'm making these videos and I come across die-hard MAGA fans, I honestly have to stop and ask.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Trump. We love you. Beyond betrayed. They used us.
Ask myself, how do you get yourself this deep into the rabbit hole? Sometimes you want to laugh, sometimes you want to cry, but most of the time, it's just unbelievable. Now, today's FAFO edition is one that still shocks me. We're talking about Latino immigrants, Cubans, Venezuelans, and others, who proudly voted MAGA. Folks who stood on stages saying, "We came here legally, so send the illegals back," without ever stopping to think that some of their own uncles, cousins, or even parents may have crossed that border without papers. And when the deportation machine they voted for came rolling through, it didn't care who was legal and who wasn't. Suddenly, their own families were in the crosshairs. And here's the big issue with that mindset. Once they're safely inside, they slam the door shut behind them. They weaponize the same system that could just as easily come for their own family. And in the process, they turn immigration from an opportunity into a punishment. That's not just hypocrisy. That's cruelty dressed up as loyalty. So in this video, we're breaking down why so many Latino MAGA immigrants lined up behind Trump, what they thought they were getting, and the reality they actually got. And stick with me till the end, because we're also going to tackle the argument you know is coming. The "but Obama deported more people than Trump" defense. Spoiler, the numbers tell one story, but the cruelty tells another. This is FAFO Economics, Immigration Edition. And believe me, this one is going to leave you shaking your head right alongside me. All right, so let's get into it. The big question here is why? Why did so many Latino immigrants, Cubans, Venezuelans, even some Mexicans, throw their weight behind MAGA when the policies on the table were basically a blueprint for their own deportation?
Trump, all the way.
Are you for Trump?
Absolutely.
So what would you say to someone who says you're Mexican and Trump hates us?
He doesn't hate us. He hates the lawbreakers.
That's
he
right.
hates the illegals. Don't come here illegally. Welcome. Come. I did. Not illegally.
That's right. I came here too legally.
Yeah. And making a difference.
That's
Not
right.
hurting anybody. Not stealing from anybody. Earning your way.
Well, God bless you
That's
for being on the
humanity.
Trump train.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, God is going to prevail through Trump.
That's right.
Press conference in Doral Monday, Venezuelan Americans denounced the Trump administration and South Florida Republicans.
More than betrayed.
No.
Beyond betrayed.
Shocking.
They used us.
No.
They actually, during the campaign, and I don't want to make this political, but during
Speak
the
on it, sis.
campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that it was not going to touch the documented people.
I can believe that. Hey.
What problems are you talking about?
My culture is a very dominant culture. And it's imposing and it's causing problems. If you don't do something about it, you're going to have taco trucks every corner.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I have to let Adriano in here.
I don't know.
I don't even know what that means, and I'm almost afraid to ask.
I'm offended.
I'll tell you what that means. The Spanish never conquered Mexico. We are a culture that we have a lot of good things that we bring to the United States, but we also have problems. And you guys are going nuts over something that there's a 10th step to this problem, and you guys are already talking about the 10th step. We haven't even started.
Well, the answer to how they would possibly vote like this is layered and honestly kind of tragic. First, there's the fear factor. Many Cubans and Venezuelans came to the US escaping socialism, so when Trump rolled out the Democrats or Socialists line, it hit like a dog whistle. He didn't have to say much, just mention Venezuela or Cuba, and suddenly people were convinced a vote for MAGA was the only way to protect freedom. Then there's the religion angle. A lot of Latino communities are deeply Catholic or Christian, and Trump leaned hard into conservative values, anti-abortion, anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. Never mind that the man quoting the Bible can't name a single verse. For some, the religious branding was enough. And of course, there's the law and order card. Trump sold the idea that cracking down on illegals would make America safer, and some immigrants who had already secured their own papers bought into it. They figured, hey, we did it the right way, so now we can draw the line behind us. Which, let's be real, is like climbing onto the lifeboat and then pushing the ladder back into the ocean. Sure, you're safe for now, but what happens when the storm shifts and that same boat comes for you? And that's the thing. These motivations, fear of socialism, religious loyalty, law and order, all made sense emotionally, but none of them accounted for reality. Because Trump's policies didn't stop to check who was a good immigrant and who wasn't. They just painted everyone with the same brush.
They denied my application. I have to leave by August the 3rd. President Donald Trump has said many times that he loves our military. So my husband, when he ran his campaign, he mentioned how much he loves the military. And every time he has opportunity, he's laid out and said, I love our military. So when he was running for president, I told my husband, I'm like, are you sure you want to vote Republican? And he's saying he's going to deport criminals. You're not a criminal. Every time we go to ICE, they tell you, Mr. Juarez, your wife is no criminal. You're not a criminal. You don't have to worry about anything. He voted for him, and now he's deporting his wife. And now they deported me. They're kicking me out, and they're breaking my family apart. Before you enlist in the military, think it twice. Before you marry an immigrant, think it twice. Think it if it's really worth for you to sell this country. Because look how they treat him.
A wave of disappointment. One of President Donald Trump's most loyal voting blocs, Cuban and Venezuelan immigrants. Now speaking out in Miami, a Republican stronghold, as the recent wave of deportations hits home and the Trump administration moved to end temporary legal status, or TPS, for more than 500,000 people who arrived during the Biden administration. Elena Conde says she came here from Cuba by plane on humanitarian parole in 2023. Her husband, Ariel Lara, crossed the border with Mexico twice, once in 2019 when he was detained and deported, and then again in 2022. 6 weeks ago, he was taken into custody at his residency hearing.
So he was given an appointment to go to ICE. You told him before he left for that appointment, you don't have anything to worry about. You haven't done anything.
Instead, he was transferred to Texas, where we spoke to him from his detention center.
How do you feel about everything that's happening right now in this country with the deportations? You don't understand how this could happen. What did you think was going to happen when Trump won? You're saying you believed the president when he said he was going to deport criminals.
Now, Elena is left behind with her daughter, 7-month-old son, and Ariel's 70-year-old grandmother, who has been a U.S. citizen for years. Together, facing a reality they never imagined.
Toda mi familia votó por Trump.
¿Lo apoyaba a Trump durante su campaña? Did you support him?
Yo estoy fuera.
You're outside of it. You can't vote. Pero te sientes decepcionada? Do you feel disappointed, deceived, engañada?
Me siento mal porque sé que ellos.
I have always said that stupid people are the most dangerous people on this entire planet. I don't trust dumb people. I avoid stupid people like a ticking time bomb with no timer because you're not sure when they're going to go off. You can guarantee they're going to go off. You just don't know when. Let me be very clear about this. Stupid has nothing to do with diplomas or degrees or jobs. I have met morons with Ivy League paper plastered all over their walls in frames who couldn't navigate a moral choice if you drew it for them on a map. Stupid people walk around through life oblivious to the damage they cause. They're the ones who vote against their own interests. They think they're always right, and that's the problem. That right there is the real poison. Because when you're stupid and you do things like vote against your own self-interests, you become the puppet, pulled by fear, pulled by propaganda, by whatever authority pats you on the head and says, "You're doing a great job, vote for me." I would sooner sit next to a hateful, racist person than a stupid person. At least the racists know who they are. They're gonna spew venom for sure, but there's a twisted kind of honesty to them. You know where you stand with them. You know exactly where the landmines are. With stupid people who vote against their own interests, you never know. They'll smile at you, they'll call you their friend, and they'll gladly set the room on fire with you in it, thinking they're helping. Stupid people are chaos wrapped in flesh. They will never truly know the harm they cause until it's too late. And that right there is the real problem.
So let's talk about what happened once those deportation policies kicked in, because this is where the FAFO really started to show. Minority MAGA immigrants were out there cheering for ICE raids, chanting "Build the Wall," and talking about law and order. But when the crackdown actually happened, it didn't stop to ask who voted for who. ICE didn't care if you had a MAGA hat in your closet or if you sang along at a Trump rally. All they saw was immigrant. And the result? Families torn apart. Workers picked up in raids. Kids coming home from school to find one parent gone. Even people who had been in the country for decades suddenly found themselves under threat. And here's the irony. Some of the same folks who said, "Send the illegals back," woke up one day to find out that back meant their own cousin, their own uncle, their own neighbor. That's not winning. That's tripping over your own shoelaces and acting like gravity betrayed you. And this is what makes this chapter of FAFO so powerful. Immigration systems don't operate on vibes. They don't check your voting record. They don't ask if you came the right way or the wrong way. They just enforce the rules. And when you cheer for harsher rules, you're cheering for harsher outcomes, even when they land on your own doorstep.
I myself am Cuban. My whole family is immigrants, so you would think, hey, I'm pro-immigrant. He can offend Cubans tomorrow and I wouldn't care, as long as my life is better and my peers are enjoying their life as well.
What I would like to see is more jobs come up here, less war, a backbone for America, a better immigration policy. My father came here, got us all citizenships from overseas. He had 4 children. He brought us into all those things to give us a better future. Things are AWire. Let's see what we could get done in this go around with Trump.
I know tons of people that just came from Cuba 20 years ago, doctors, and they've done their American dream. They've done their due process.
I wanted to see Trump back in the White House. And I think people who come here legally, or people who are here and see what is going on with the immigration and how they're giving thousands and thousands of dollars for these people who are coming here, money that they could be spending on the problems that we have in our country.
Florida will be the downfall of Latinos and Hispanics every time. Florida is what I will vote for Donald Trump. Florida is the home of I will vote for Donald Trump. That's where they live. Vote for Donald Trump. The Florida Hispanics had a hit with that one. Y'all trash. Y'all trash. Trump trash. His wig is trash. All y'all are garbage, okay? Y'all gonna be the downfall of the Latinos every motherfucking time. Florida Latinos, Hispanics from Florida. You cannot tell them that they are not Caucasian. Like, it's really just ridiculous.
I voted for Trump. As you can see, I'm a small business owner.
To me, I believe he did really well with our economy during COVID with what he was stuck with. You got to follow your heart, and I think that's what us Latinos did. He deserved a second chance, and we gave it to him. And I don't think it was just the Latinos. I think the African Americans, too. We need to work with DACA. They're here. All the migrants, illegals, they're here. Stop threatening them. We're going to deport you.
Person left Miami's immigration court in tears Thursday.
And there's actually people sobbing on the other line, crying and scared for the family members.
Practically the same day he took office, he went against Venezuelans. It seemed personal.
While Didi Espinosa was being handcuffed by ICE agents in the hallway of federal court in Miami, his wife was yelling, quote, "This is unfair. It's not fair." A U.S. citizen married to 44-year-old Espinosa, born in Cuba. The couple met 2 years ago. This month, they got married. They had to wait for his divorce to be approved. On Monday afternoon, he was detained.
Now, here's the part that honestly blows my mind the most: the cultural FAFO. Because it wasn't just policies. It was the way some minority MAGA immigrants went out of their way to prove their loyalty. We saw immigrants, people whose own families crossed borders, chanting "Build the Wall" like it was a badge of honor, waving flags and shouting down other immigrants as if distance from their own story made them more American. And here's the irony. You can chant all you want, but walls don't come with an exception clause. They don't say, "Oh, you're Cuban, Venezuelan, Puerto Rican? Don't worry. This doesn't apply to you." No. Once you normalize cruelty, the same cruelty circles back. It's like building a cage, locking someone inside, and then realizing the key was in your own pocket the whole time. That's not safety. That's volunteering to be part of the trap. And that's the tragedy of cultural FAFO. In trying to prove they belonged, some immigrants ended up supporting policies that told them they never really would. They thought voting MAGA was their ticket into the in crowd, but the message from the top was clear. Loyalty doesn't erase where you came from, and no amount of cheering changes the fact that when deportations happen, nobody checks for rally attendance.
Trump administration officials have been sending babies and other young children. Oh, hold on. To at least 3 Can we put up the graphic of this? Thank you. Do we have it? No. 3 tender age shelters in South Texas. Lawyers and medical providers. Just, I think I'm going to have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry.
You know what's absolutely disgusting? The fact that the McDonald Trump administration is once again ripping migrant children away from their homes and throwing them into government custody. And in some of these cases, it's not because the parents did anything wrong. It's just because someone in the family was accused of something. There's no trial, no conviction, just guilt by association. They are literally punishing children for who their dad is. That's not justice, that's collective punishment, and it's morally bankrupt. And because I'm a wizard and I can see into the future, I already know some dumbasses are going to jump in the comments saying, well, Obama did it too, or Biden separates families too. So let's talk about that. Yes, under Obama and Biden, there have been instances where families were separated. But the reasons and the intent actually matter, people. Under Obama, it usually only happened in cases where the parents were charged with a serious crime or there were legitimate concerns about child abuse or trafficking. And under Biden, it's mostly been bureaucratic breakdowns or safety issues, not a formal policy. Biden even created a task force specifically to reunite families that Trump tore apart. But under McDonald Trump, it's different. It is deliberate. His administration actually created a policy, zero tolerance, where they prosecuted every single adult for crossing the border just so they could separate families on purpose. And they did it without any system to track the kids. That's how we ended up with thousands of children who literally could not reunite with their parents because the government lost track of who belonged to it. Just for you idiots who think Biden's fault that all those kids are missing. It wasn't about protecting kids, though. It was about punishing immigrants. So when people try to pretend it's all the same, they're fucking lying, or they just don't care enough to learn the differences. This isn't about left or right. This is about basic humanity. You cannot say you're pro-life, pro-family, or pro-freedom while you're defending a government zip-tying children and tearing families apart with no due process. This is why we speak up, because if we let them do this to immigrant families without saying a word, they'll feel emboldened to do worse, and they fucking will.
So, Governor, forgive me. I've got to sit down because I am not feeling well.
Okay, so I know y'all remember her. That's Ileana Garcia, who I just recently found out is the leader and creator of Latinos for Trump. And she recently released a statement saying that the White House immigration crackdown was inhumane. Now, she said, "This is not what we voted for," State Senator Ileana Garcia said in a statement on Saturday. "I have always supported Trump through thick and thin. However, this is unacceptable and inhumane."
Well, they did sign up for it, actually, and this is what I campaigned on.
You politicians that are saying this, I don't know if you are saying this because you're hoping to get points back with your community, with your constituents who know that you sold them up the river, but it's not going to work. One, this is what you voted for. Do you not remember when this man held a rally and there was one person there that he didn't like at the rally? So he instructed the group of people to beat that person up and drag them out of the rally?
Get her out of here. But there's a slob. There's a real slob.
If he does that with somebody at a rally, what do you think he would do with the people that he has labeled horrible things that he says don't belong in this country? Y'all did know this was going to happen. This is what you voted for. This is what you wanted. Because if you didn't want this, there was another clear option of somebody who was not going to do any of this. And the fact that you're the leader of a group called Latinas for Trump, that is Latin women for Trump, says it all. I cannot believe that you decided to put out this statement. Girl, bye.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Amigos, while we were all sleeping last night, the unsanitized devil was hard at work because this man right here, Tom Holland, is coming back to oversee our nation's borders. If you don't know Trouble Tom, he was the ICE director during Trump's first term, and he was the mastermind behind the zero tolerance policy, which separated parents from their children at the border. He is the reason why a lot of children stayed in the U.S. without their parents, why parents went back to their country of origin without their kids, why 19-month-olds ended up in different states while their parents were in detention camps at other states. I mean, it was just gross. And with that unsanitized orange laser focus on mass deportations, I worry what this means, yes, for undocumented immigrants, but for mixed status families, who we often forget about, right? Not every single undocumented immigrant in the US is currently coming through the border. A lot of them have been here for many, many years and have contributed so much to this economy. 1 in 10 US households right now includes a mixed status family, which means that if your mom is a resident and your dad is undocumented, but you are a US citizen, your dad does still run the risk of being deported. And under Tom's ideology, instead of just deporting your father, why not deport the whole family? These are families that have been here for decades that will literally be ripped apart because of his ideology, because of this effort of mass deportation. Honestly, amigos, I can't say I'm shocked, but I am at a loss for words. And if you are a Latino for Trump in a mixed status family, as I said recently, I hope you get everything you voted for.
Up until now, we've laughed at the irony. But this is where the FAFO stops being funny. Because behind the chants and the rallies, there was a human cost, and it was devastating. Under Trump's crackdown, family separations at the border became a headline and a nightmare. Kids pulled from their parents, infants kept in detention centers, families split with no clear path back to each other. It wasn't policy, it was punishment. And the heartbreaking part, some of the people cheering the loudest were immigrants themselves. Immigrants who thought their loyalty bought them an exception. But cruelty doesn't hand out exceptions. I think about the dreamers too. Kids who grew up here, built lives here, went to school here, but had to live with the constant fear that one policy change could rip everything away. These are young people who know no other home, and yet their future was treated like a bargaining chip. And here's the truth. None of this checked who voted for who. It didn't matter if you waved the flag at a MAGA rally or if you'd never been political at all. When the system was weaponized, it treated all immigrants as suspects. So while some thought they were standing on the right side, The reality is they were standing on quicksand, and no chant, no hat, no loyalty pledge could stop the ground from sinking beneath them. That's the deepest FAFO of all. Thinking you're safe because you sided with power, only to find out that power doesn't see you as one of its own. Now, before we close this out, let me go ahead and address the comment I already know is being typed out right now. But Obama deported more people than Trump. Let's start by listening to these few clips.
I've been having a lot of videos pop up on my feed comparing the Obama administration of deportation to the Trump administration of deportation and what's going on right now and why people are getting upset now versus back then, and Obama did the same thing and all of that. But as somebody who practiced immigration law during all of Obama's years as presidency, I can tell you that yes, Obama did deport a lot of people, okay? But what he did was he deported and gave orders of deportation for people who were incarcerated while they were serving their term, whether it was a state criminal incident or a federal criminal incident. So he did not really have the immigration judge do the deportations. He did have ICE do the deportations for the most part, and he would have the person deported directly from the state penitentiary or the federal prison. Also for a group of people that were convicted of aggravated felonies and they didn't have relief available. So the Obama administration streamlined those deportations directly from the criminal facilities to their home country. Obama did not deport people who were in the middle of an immigration process. He also adhered to the legal protections that were given to people, such as withholding of removal or Convention Against Torture. So there's a vast difference between the Obama-style deportations and the Trump-style deportations that we are going through right now.
They called Obama the deporter-in-chief. He deported more people than Trump ever did, but he followed the law to do it.
Yeah.
As long as you follow the law, that's great. But when Donald goes around saying, we're just going to kick him out, right?
We are going to start the largest mass deportation in the history of our country because we have no choice.
I'm going to, do whatever.
Right, that just sounds like it sounds like a boast and not like
more
what
gangster.
Is the actual practice.
Right, more gangster. Right.
But the fact that people have come in lawlessly, it feels like...
Biden up. No one's saying he didn't.
Yeah.
Right, he let too many people in. That could have been the Bernie Sanders side of him, right? I'm not saying, he did the right thing.
Yeah.
Right, but you are where you are, right? So the only question is, how do you fix it?
Right.
These are the biggest differences between the Obama era and the Trump era as an immigration lawyer. The first and most important one is DACA. The Obama administration enacted DACA to provide protections to the children who entered the US with their parents who were undocumented. However, under the Trump administration, we saw a halt on any new DACA applications. The second biggest difference is the policies surrounding the public charge rule. The Trump administration made it so that USCIS could deny visas based on someone's educational background and whether the officer believes that this person could become a public charge to the US, meaning that in the future, they could ask for government benefits. The last is the travel ban. So during the Trump administration, we saw a travel ban from major Muslim countries.